Free doesn't mean there isn't a price tag. My boyfriend died last year in a motorcycle accident. It was fast, violent, and totally unfair. One minute he was on his way to work. The next minute, I was a single mom with a 3-year-old daughter and a house full of things I couldn't bring myself to pack away. Ever since then, my daughter has been struggling. She didn't fully understand death, but she understood silence, and the house had grown too quiet for a toddler who used to laugh all day long. One night, when I couldn't sleep, I started scrolling Facebook Marketplace just out of boredom. I wasn't looking for anything specific. That's when I saw the post, "Free emotional support kittens, great for kids." I'd read somewhere that animals can help with grief, especially for kids. There were 4 photos, a few tiny kittens curled up in a flowered basket, one licking the other's ear, another sleeping in a little girl's lap. It felt perfect. I clicked on the profile. The name said Sarah Bennett. Her profile picture was generic, just a close-up of some purple flowers. No photos of her face. Still, she had a few posts on Marketplace that did look semi-normal. So I messaged, "Hi, are the kittens still available?" She'd replied almost instantly. "Yes, so glad you're interested. These babies need a good home. Do you have kids?" I told her I did, and that I was hoping one of the kittens could help my daughter cope with the loss of her father. Then she said something that felt thoughtful, at first. "Then you should definitely bring your daughter to pick her kitten. It's important that they bond naturally." I didn't think twice. It made sense, right? I even thought it was sweet. We messaged each other back and forth for a bit. She told me she lived about 40 minutes away. She didn't send a full address yet, just a general location. She said she'd share directions when I was ready to come. And then she asked, "What's your daughter's name?" I told her. Again, I didn't think much of it. Then more questions came. How old is she exactly? Does she like to talk to strangers? Is she shy or outgoing? I paused at that one. It felt weird. I mean, I get wanting to know a little more about the family that's going to adopt a pet, but this felt like something else, especially the way that she worded it. I gave vague answers and didn't respond after that. For the next couple days, I left the messages on read, but she kept messaging. "Can you come by? Your daughter will love it here. Just let me know when you're on your way. Bring her soon. The kittens are waiting." It went from friendly to aggressive, like she was pressuring me. And then she sent, "I need to know when you're coming. It's important she picks out her kitten in person." At that point, something clicked in my gut. That deep, mother animal kind of instinct. I didn't care if it was paranoia. I blocked her. The next day, I got a message from a different Facebook profile. Same listing, same kitten pictures, different name. "Hi, are you still interested in the kittens? We'd love to meet your daughter." That was it for me. I went to the police. I honestly didn't expect them to take it seriously, but when I showed them the screenshots, their demeanor changed fast. An officer asked if I'd shared my location, sent any photos, told her my exact schedule. I hadn't, thank God, but he nodded solemnly and said, "You did the right thing coming in. That account, and others using the same kitten pictures, have been linked to attempted kidnapping. Multiple reports across the state. Some of the profiles disappeared, but a few were traced back to known trafficking rings." I felt sick, like I was going to throw up right there in the station. Then they told me something that creeped me out more than anything I'd ever heard. They said if I would have gone to that address, I might not have come back. Or even worse, I might have come back without her. The officer said I probably saved our lives by trusting my instinct. They asked if I'd be willing to give a statement, and I did. Later, I found out the entire Kitten scam was being used to target single mothers. They preyed on emotional posts, widows, moms, looking for pets or furniture. They used the child as bait, make them come to you. I still can't shake the thought of what might have happened. I still see my daughter in the backseat smiling, asking if she could name her kitten Peaches. I wonder how far they would have made us strove, if anyone would have ever heard us scream. So now, when I hear people say things like, "It's just Facebook, it's safe," I want to grab them by the shoulders and shake them, because it's not. Because there are people out there preying on the naive so that they can do something terrible. The free couch on Marketplace. I should have known something was off when I saw the listing. A free couch, clean, modern, barely used, and just a few miles away from me. The description said, "Giving away to a good home. No tears, no stains, just don't have any space anymore." There were 3 pictures, a gray sectional and what looked like a decently nice living room. Honestly, it looked more like something you'd pay $500 minimum for, and here it was, free. I messaged the seller right away. They replied fast. "Come tonight," the message said. "After 9 p.m., only available then." That was weird. Who wants strangers coming to their house after dark? I asked if I could pick it up the next morning instead. They replied, "Has to be tonight, leaving town tomorrow." Okay, fine. Free couch, right? The address was on the outskirts of town, near the edge of some old farmland that had long since been bought and split into new housing tracts. Still rural enough to kind of feel a little eerie at night. I convinced my buddy Sean to go with me. He had a pickup, and honestly, I didn't want to go alone. We showed up around 9:15. The house was old, maybe early 1900s, with a wraparound porch and a single yellow light over the door. There was no car in the driveway. No lights on inside. Sean was immediately sketched out. He kept his engine running. "You sure about this?" he asked me. I checked the address again. It matched. I texted the seller. "I'm here." They responded instantly. "Back door is unlocked. You can take it from the den. Don't knock. Baby's sleeping." Now that should have been the moment that we left. But something about the way it was worded felt normal enough. I mean, who wants a baby waking up while 2 dudes bang on the door at night? Sean was complaining the whole time. "Dude, this is dumb. This is how people die." Still, I walked around the back of the house. The screen door creaked when I opened it. The wooden door behind it was just like they said, unlocked. Inside it was cold, quiet. The den was immediately to the right, and sure enough, there was the couch. Same one from the photos. Looked perfect. "No way, this is free," I remember Sean saying. That's when I noticed something weird. There's a camera on a tripod in the corner of the room. Not hidden, just sitting there, pointed directly at the couch. No red light or anything, but just still felt weird. I told myself maybe they were YouTubers or something. I didn't want to overthink it. We started to lift the first half of the couch. That's when I heard something upstairs. A thud, then footsteps. I remember Sean saying, "Dude, I thought you said they had a baby." I nodded, but something about those footsteps didn't sound like a baby. They were heavy, slow, deliberate, and then they stopped. I texted the seller again. "Hey, someone's upstairs. Should we come back?" No response. Suddenly, we heard a door creak right above us. Sean dropped his into the couch. "Nope, nope." I agreed. We started backing out. Before we even made it to the kitchen, we heard a small sound that I swear I will never forget. The unmistakable click of the camera shutter. Not a phone. From the tripod camera in the corner. It had turned on. We ran out the back door and bolted to the truck. As we pulled up to a gravel driveway, Sean glanced and in the rear view said, "Dude, someone just came out that window." We never saw who it was. I blocked that seller immediately. The next day, I tried to look up the listing again. Vanished. It's like it never existed. I reported their profile to Facebook, but I doubt it helped. I doubt it was even a real person. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the couch and how it was positioned perfectly, about the camera, about how I felt like someone was watching us. And the worst part, I got a text in the middle of the night that just said, "You look scared on camera." The number wasn't saved, no picture, just one message. I changed my number that next day. I don't take anything from Facebook Marketplace anymore. No couches, no TVs, no coffee tables, nothing. Because I learned that night, if it's too good to be true, it's probably not free. It's bait. They used a TV to lure me. I was just trying to help my girlfriend save some money. She just moved into her first apartment, and I wanted to surprise her with a decent TV. Nothing huge, just something better than watching Netflix on her laptop. So when I saw a 55-inch Samsung listed on Facebook Marketplace for $120, I jumped. The guy's name was Brent D. The profile looked normal enough. A few photos, even a couple mutual friends. The listing said he was moving out of state and must sell as soon as possible. Sounded believable. I messaged him. He replied quick. "It's still available. You can pick it up tonight." I said sure, and he gave me the address just outside of the city, near one of those older subdivisions where every house looks the same and the streetlights always felt a little too far apart. When I told him I'd be there by 7:30, he messaged, "Cool, just a heads up. Bring cash. Can't do Venmo anymore. Got burned." Reasonable. Sketchy, but reasonable. I let my best friend Danny know where I was going, just in case. Then I grabbed the cash and headed out. The house was halfway down a dead-end road, one porch light on, no cars in the driveway. The TV was supposedly boxed up and ready to go, so I figured Brent might already be moving out. I parked and messaged, "Here." "Come around back," he replied. "Garage is open." Now, that's when I probably should have been a little bit more suspicious, but you always feel dumb overreacting until it's too late. I walked around the side gate. The backyard was silent, no lights on in the garage, but the side door was cracked open. I called out, "Hey, Brent." No answer. I pushed the door open with my foot. It was pitch black inside. Then a voice, low and raspy from the dark, asked, "Are you alone?" I froze. My brain didn't even have time to process it. Someone lunged at me. I saw a mask, just a plain ski mask, and then a fist connected with my stomach. I doubled over and fell into the gravel. Another figure came out from the side of the garage, grabbed at my hoodie, grabbed for my pockets. I yelled. I don't remember what I yelled. It was just loud. Then a voice from the street. "Yo, what the hell's going on over there?" That saved me. One of the neighbors must have been outside walking their dog. The two masked guys scattered. One vaulted back over the fence, the other one ducking behind the garage. I just ran to my car, heart pounding out of my chest, phone clutched so tight I nearly cracked the screen. I sped out of that neighborhood without looking back. I called 911 once I was 2 blocks away. The operator kept asking if I was okay, and I kept repeating the address over and over. The cops met me at a gas station nearby and took my statement. Then we went to the house. And here's the kicker. There was no Brent. The house was foreclosed. It had been empty for over a month. Windows boarded, no utilities, completely abandoned. The listing was fake. The photos were stolen from a random Reddit post showing off someone's entertainment center setup. I only figured that out after the fact. The Facebook profile, deleted the same night. The police said it's becoming more and more common, these setups, fake listings, empty houses, people lured out with cash, being easy targets. They got maybe $60 from me before I slipped free. Could have been worse. I still had my phone. I was still breathing. But now I carry something in my car. I never go alone to pickups, and I never, ever follow someone's instructions to go around back. I should have never booked that vacation from Marketplace. It started as a weekend escape. One of those spontaneous trips you book when you and your friends are burnt out from work, school, life. There were 5 of us. Me, my girlfriend Alex, her cousin Beth, our friend Corey, and his roommate Dan. We were just looking for a break. We found this ridiculously cheap cabin rental on Marketplace, listed as Hidden Gem in the Pines. It was way cheaper than anything else in the area, almost suspiciously cheap. But it had 5 stars, a few vague reviews that said things like, great isolation, no distractions, and perfect for off-the-grid living. We joked about how it sounded like a cult recruitment center, but we booked it anyway. The directions said GPS might cut out and to follow the written steps in the messages after booking. We left on a Friday afternoon. Spirits high, music was loud, snacks were passed around. But the closer we got to the cabin, the weirder it felt. The road narrowed. Trees pressed in on both sides. Our cell service died. Eventually, we turned on to a dirt path that didn't feel like it had been driven on in years. Is this even the right place? I remember Beth asked me. It matches the directions, I said. We go about 2 miles in and look for the gate. Sure enough, we found a rusted black iron gate standing open. No sign, no address, just woods beyond it. We drove in. We saw the cabin after about a quarter of a mile drive. It looked just like the photos. Long walls, mossy roof, dark windows. The key was supposed to be under a loose stone on the porch. Dan found it right away. Everything matched the listing, but something felt off. Inside, it was musty, like no one had been in there in years. Still, there were fresh sheets, a stocked pantry, and even a guest book. The first entry was from 2 years ago. Then, nothing. Just blank pages. That night, we lit a fire, played cards, and tried to shake the unease. But around midnight, while Beth and I were outside stargazing, we noticed something. A tiny red light in the trees. Is that a camera? She asked me. I squinted. I think it is. We called the others out. Corey actually tried to climb the tree, but couldn't reach it. Dan used his flashlight to scan around the property. More lights. 4, 5, 6. Little red blinking dots in the dark. Panic set in fast. We went inside and searched every room, behind every frame, in light fixtures, around the couch. We found 2 hidden cameras, one in the living room vent, and one in the corner of the bedroom that Alex and I were staying in. I immediately ran to the front door and said, "We're leaving." I remember nobody argued. We packed up the truck and headed out, but when we got down to the entrance gate, it had been chained shut. A thick iron lock dangled from the center. I remember Corey was saying that it was open when we came in, so we had to climb it. We carried as much as we could on our backs and threw the rest over. We all agreed that we would come back for the car later. As we started walking, about a quarter mile towards the highway. We'd finally found a clearing in the trees where I was able to get some cell service. And when I did, I immediately called the police. I tried to find the listing of the rental back on Marketplace, but when I looked, it was gone. I tried to go back into my Messenger app. Same thing. I'd been blocked by the person that booked us. When the police arrived, they were more than helpful. A sheriff and a highway patrol officer picked us up and drove us back to the gate. The car was still there. The officers cut the chain, we loaded up, and we got out of there. We thought it was over. 3 days later, a police officer showed up at my house with a subpoena. Turns out that the property had belonged to a man named Lester Gray. But Lester wasn't the one that had created the post. He couldn't. He was dead. So, who posted this cabin for rent? He was a squatter. He had a history of recording people in cabins around the state, mostly drifters and loners. He was also the suspect in 2 disappearances from over 2 years ago. And where it gets really creepy, one of the victims was actually one of the names in the guest book. They found a hidden room underneath the cabin, a crawl space with dozens of tapes. Our footage was already labeled by date. We had to testify in court. I saw him. He looked ordinary, like someone you'd pass in a hardware store. But when he looked at me, I felt cold, like he'd already knew I was going to be there. The worst part of all, they didn't have enough evidence to convict him for the missing people. All he got hit with were trespassing charges and stalking. 3 years. Since this happened in 2018, I know he's still out there, somewhere. The internet can be a useful tool, but it's also a playground for predators. Always trust your instinct. Always question what feels off, and never underestimate how quickly something innocent can turn into a trap. New true horror stories drop every week, so please subscribe and share. If you've survived something terrifying, send it in. We believe you, and we're listening. As always, stay safe.